Welcome back, everyone, to HTF Bets, your Thursday show here at Hitting the Field Network. As always, I'm your host, Tyler Karen. Before we dive into today's episode, we have an unfortunate message for all of our viewers. Okelo Pena will no longer be affiliated with HTFN following a unanimous vote by HTFN leadership. This is due to certain actions over the course of his time in the program. The HTFN family wishes Okelo nothing but the best moving forward and hope he is successful in his future endeavors. However, the show must go on, and we have a great one here for you today. HTF Bets starts now. So, are you saying that the Giants are going to cover the spread at as a 7-point underdog?
Yes, and you said you're not a Dallas Cowboy lover, but you are a Patriots lover, so you hate the Giants because we beat you in the Super Bowl, so you are disagreeing with me because of that reason, but they are covering the spread.
I am not.
They are covering the spread.
No, see, and that, Johan, that right there is why you're a guest host on HTF Bets and not a main host. You cannot come on this show and tell people to bet a +7 bet on the Giants when they're going against Dallas at home.
Bet your entire savings. Bet your entire savings, and I'm telling you right now, they're gonna win. I don't care what you say. It's gonna happen.
Oh, man, I hope that you enjoy Johan Blanco on the show this week because I don't know if I can have him back after this week.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome back, everyone. Like I said before, I am Tyler Karen. Joining me, as always, is one of my co-hosts, Riley Shepard. And Johan Blanco managed to find his way back to the studio. We changed the locks on the doors. We changed our time. I said, I do not want Johan here. But he found his way back, even though he gave you that terrible prediction last week. But he's an asset here at HTFN. I'm getting over it. But we're here. We're in the kickoff, starting some NFL football. First game that we're going to talk about for this upcoming week is Chargers at Ravens. Now, this game, two of the weirdest teams, in my opinion, from last week. I mean, the Chargers their offense was loaded last week with Justin Herbert doing his Herbert thing. Mike Williams going for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Eckler getting his 2 touchdowns. And then you transition over to the Ravens, who that game last week versus the Colts was that Monday Night Football. That is what Monday Night Football is kind of all about.
Yes. That is primetime football.
The wildness of that game with Baltimore coming back, Lamar ending with over 440 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Mandrews was a man out there, and then Hollywood Brown. So this line is set at -3 in Baltimore's favor and over-under at 51.5. Johan, man, don't disappoint me again with a bad
we're going to have to put on extra locks next week.
All right, but I think, honestly, expect a high-scoring game, no doubt. Expect a high-scoring game, but I see the Chargers coming out in this one. I do see that. I think the Chargers are now looking like the favorite to win the AFC West, and just Justin Herbert's coming into his own. He did have a slow first 2 weeks of the season, but now he's starting to gradually get back to the form he was when he ended his rookie year. And I think that, he just has so many weapons. Their pass game is really good. And their run game, I mean, obviously, Austin Eckler is, a monster in the backfield. So
great in fantasy.
Exactly. And I think that, even though, the Ravens had such a great game on Monday. By the way, Lamar Jackson, you messed me up in fantasy. I'm not going to talk about it. I still see the Chargers winning, so I will take the Chargers in this one.
I agree with you on the spread. The spread is actually a lot lower than I would have expected out of those two teams. They're both high-powered offenses. And like you said, Lamar Jackson, the amount of records that I saw him break from that Monday Night Football game, the first quarterback to ever throw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and rush for over 50 yards, and with the highest completion percentage ever, I mean, that was unbelievable. I'm going to take the Ravens on this one, and I think the spread is actually fair. I think 3 is a fair spread.
I think 3 is a fair. I'm also going to go with the Ravens, but I want to see what our special NFL expert has today. Daniel Pardo is joining us in studio for the first time on HTF Bets, and he's a football guy. So, Daniel, what do you think about this spread? And welcome to HTF Bets.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I honestly think it could go either way, but I got the Ravens on this one. I cannot bet against Lamar Jackson, one of the best to ever do it. However, since the spread is so low, I could see the other team winning either way. So it's a coin toss at this point.
Yeah, it really is. You like you said, it's tough to bet against Lamar, seeing what he did last week, but also that first quarter, first half last week that wasn't
great.
Lamar,
Wasn't great.
and then he went full beast mode Lamar in the second half. I want to transition into the next game here, and that is the Vikings and the Panthers. Minnesota set at a 1-point favorite over/under of 46. What are you guys thinking about the Vikings at the Panthers this week?
It really all depends on if both teams have their star running backs. If both of them, if McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook are healthy this week, this would be their first time ever matching up against each other, and that's a story in itself. Both teams need a win. The Panthers are coming off back-to-back losses, and if you remember the Vikings and Panthers game from last year, it was a thriller, 28-27 with a last-second field goal. This is going to be a very underrated game going into this weekend, but it's going to be a great one.
I tell you, the fact that Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey, that this is potentially their first meeting, just goes to show how fantasy owners have been fuming within the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
They played and they haven't had their star running backs. But yeah, I think the Vikings have been all over the place this season. They've lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Cardinals. It was a high-scoring game. And then they beat the Lions in a low-scoring game. So they've been all over the place this year. I don't know where I feel on this game. I guess I'll go with the favorite in Minnesota. Johan, what are you thinking about this?
All right, so if the Vikings want to win, though, they have to pick up their offensive scoring because the past 2 weeks, they've been fairly low compared to, the first 3 weeks and compared to how much weapons and how much Kirk Cousins throws the ball. That's what they have to do. But I'm going to go with Carolina in this one. I'm not going to lie. I'm going with Carolina. I think Carolina, even with Christian McCaffrey out, Chuba Hubbard has done a good job filling in. And I think they will exploit the run defense of Minnesota. They have allowed 504 yards in the past 4 games, and I think that's going to be exploited again this Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And you got to think that the running back isn't the only rushing attack in Carolina. Sam Darnold, he did have an off week last week, only finished with about 9 fantasy points, which hurt my bads from last week. But Darnold is still an elusive, a good rusher. He's up there. He's tied for the most rushing yards, most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. Daniel, do you think for this game, does Carolina, led by Darnold, get the best of the Vikings?
I do think so. Darnold is an exceptional player. I think the Vikings don't have as good of a defense as people expect them to have. And the Panthers are honestly like a very, I don't know, they can be inconsistent at times, but their offense, when it's hitting, is very efficient. So I could see the Panthers beating them by at least a touchdown or so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
My
guy.
guy.
With that one, that's how you know you have a good match. When you have that 1-point spread, that's where it's like it's a step above even. It's literally a step away from a coin flip to see who's gonna get the game. They have Minnesota with a slight edge. Now, a lot of news have been coming around the Raiders this week. They still are playing this weekend in Denver against the Broncos. Johan, I'm going to let you dive into the news from this week and lead us into this game this weekend.
Well, this is going to be the first week that the Raiders play without John Gruden. Obviously, he resigned this past week at the beginning of the week. And special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia is taking over as interim head coach. It will be interesting to see what he does against the Broncos because the Broncos defense has been the shining point of this entire team. Mm-hmm. Even though, they are 3-2, their defense has been probably top 5 in the league so far. Mm-hmm. But I still have the Raiders in this matchup. They are the plus 3.5 here. Stop it. No, I have the Raiders. I have the Raiders. And I think that their running game or their passing game is what's going to do it for them because even though their defense is really good, the pass coverage over 25 yards has been a hole in their game. And they have a guy by the name of Henry Ruggs who likes those deep balls, and I think he will do good.
And I mean, we have seen it, and I'll give you that. The Ruggs car connection on deep balls this year, it's been there for sure, and on the long balls. However, I think, Denver, their defense, is averaging giving up 10.3 points per game against their opponents. Now, they have played the Giants. They played the Jags.
That's
they played
exactly
the Jets.
what I was about to say.
I will not I will not point that out. But
Bet your entire savings. The Raiders are going to win.
Oh,
Bet
boy.
your entire
Oh,
savings.
no.
let's play back again from last week with Johan said entire savings. But no, the Raiders, they always start hot every single season since under the Derek Carr and Gruden era. It's every single season they start hot and then they dump off. So at 3-2, they've been over their hot start, and it's going to be downhill for the Raiders.
Well,
the rest
it's a
of the
good
season.
thing. It's a 17-game season, so they have one more week. Will be hot, and then they'll dip next week.
No. Like you said, the Broncos, their 3 wins are against I got to look at Tyler's notes, the Giants, Jags, and the Jets. I knew their schedule was weak, but I didn't realize it was that weak, that their 3 wins are against those 3 teams. The Raiders are going to be the best team they've played thus far this season. And I am taking the Raiders, even though they do have the losing their head coach. And I think that's going to mess up a lot of their chemistry and everything on offense that they have going for them. But I am going to take the Raiders by 3.
Sorry, you guys are wrong. Denver's defense is going to win them this game, and I had no confidence in Denver coming into the season.
No.
They've gotten to 3-2. Like I said, they've won the games they should have won. They've lost the games they should have lost this season. There haven't really been any surprises. Their defense will will them to this victory, and they will cover the 3-point spread. The over/under set at 44. Daniel, what do you think about that? Over/under at 44. Like so we mentioned the defensive power of Denver as well as the offensive power of the Raiders. So what do you think about that over/under 44 spread? Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in beginner's luck. I think that the Raiders having a new coach could work out for them. They could connect. I don't know about betting my life savings like Johan said, but I do think the Raiders, with their passing game, a very good passing game for the NFL, could beat the Broncos, even though they have a good defense.
And Daniel, I'm gonna actually toss it right back to you. Since your first time on your guest analyst, we got to get you your own game of the week. So, what is your game of the week for Week 6 NFL football?
So for my Game 6 game, I have the Bills versus the Tennessee Titans. Right now, Josh Allen is running the league. He beat the poster child of Patrick Mahomes last week by, it was at least 20 points, and the man is getting paid $250 million for a reason. He knows what he's doing. He's one of the best at his position. He dropped 3 touchdowns, 315 yards last week, and I think that even though the Titans have a good defense and they can at times sack the quarterback, the Bills are just too much right now. They're overpowering the whole league, and they're the favorites in Vegas to win the AFC, so I got the Bills all the way.
See, the Bills have been, again, offensively, they're loaded. We've been saying it every single episode in one way or another. The Bills have been a favorite here at HTF Bets. However, it's the spread that kind of gets me. It's set at 5.5 right now, the Bills in the favor of the Titans. I think the Titans at home can come out, play a full game of football, and I think it could come down to a last-minute field goal or a game-winning drive. And I don't know. I'm not confident in that 5.5 spread for the Bills on the road in Tennessee.
No, and I do agree. The spread is a lot bigger than it really should be. Like you said, Tennessee's at home. This is gonna be a great game, down to the wire. But I'm gonna take Tennessee to get their 4th win of the season, and I think it is gonna come off a last-second field goal. I'm taking Tennessee 31-28.
No.
You see this?
No.
You see this? We'll clip that. That'll be in a commercial down the line when the Bills lace out. I think the Titans, I think that they might hit the spread. There's no shot of winning the game. But that is all the time that we have for segment 1. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to dive into fantasy football, and Riley is going to give you his top 5 ads of the week. Stay with us.
I'm in charge of the meeting this week. So you know what we're going to talk about? Basketball. The second thing we're going to talk about this week is basketball. Okay? And the third and last thing we're going to talk about is basketball.
God, it's ridiculous. I want to quit. Can I quit? Take that.
Look at the screen. we talking about this week?
Basketball.
Welcome back. We're getting to that point in the season where it's kind of anyone's league in fantasy football, especially here at the HTFN Leadership League. We have a bunch of 3-2 teams, a bunch of 2-3 teams that are playing 3-2 teams. It's been a super exciting season for us. A lot of trash talk has been going around. A lot of heartbreak has been going around. But I'm going to show you here our results from last week's game. We'll start with one of the biggest heartbreakers. Johnny Jackson beat me last week 145 to 143. What hurts a little bit more is he had Blankenship going into that Monday Night Football game, and Blankenship really did try to give me the game. He had 2 missed field goals and 1 extra point miss. So I'm still a little heartbroken about that. We'll move on though. Hannah Joe picked up the victory over Austin Walker 152 to 93. Kyle DeWitt picked up the victory over Caleb Burge 154 to 138. Riley Shepard finishing with 155 over Alex Funderburk's depressing 96 points this week. Alex, we got to talk about that. I'll give you some tips, my man. You got to hit the 3 digits. And Ross went for 179 points against my man Johan Blanco here in his first week in the Leadership League. So that was 180 points. That's a performance.
Well, thank Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown for that.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. You could be down 80 in that Monday night game, and you still, if you had Lamar or if you had the combo of Lamar, Hollywood, or Mark Andrews, so you had 2 of those 3, then you were down 80 and you end up winning the game, which is just a crazy thing. Couldn't expect anything more for Monday Night Football and fantasy football. With that, we're going to send it over to Riley Shepard. He's going to give us his top 5 ads of the week.
Thank you, Tyler. And thank you again for spreading the love to my big win against Alex Thunderberg, the one host on HTF Bets that won this week, big time. And you forgot one of the biggest performers from Monday Night Football was my starting running back, Jonathan Taylor. He had 38 points, I want to say. But let's transition into my top 5 ads of the week. We're at that point of the season where bye weeks, injuries, all of these are huge factors week in and week out. So, talking about an injury, Saquon Barkley going down for at least a couple weeks. Devontae Booker is going to be a great pickup at running back. He stepped up big last week, pulling in a rushing touchdown and a couple receptions. So he's a great value at back if you have someone on a bye week this week. Number 2, I have Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry has asserted himself as a week in and week out starter at tight end. He was Mac Jones' favorite target last week and has been through 6 weeks of the season. So he's a great value at tight end. He's picked up in a lot of leagues. I'm lucky I was able to pick him up, but if he's still available, definitely worth the value. At number 3, I have Darrell Williams. The Chiefs trust him, and you should too. Last season, when Clyde Edwards-Helaire went down with an injury in the divisional round, he stepped up big. Like I said, the Chiefs trust him, and you should too. He's a great value at running back. Number 4, I have Taylor Heineke. And I know what you're saying. I might have just butchered his name. I'm so sorry. But he's not a week in and week out starter. But if you have a quarterback on a bye week, he's definitely worth the value. The Chiefs have been giving up over 300 yards passing. Their defense is suspect, so definitely worth the value. And number 5, I have Zach Pascal. Carson Wentz, they have a lot of options at wideout, and with Naheem, with his touches going down, he only had 4 touches last week, and Carson Wentz is really trying to show the love on offense. So definitely, if you need a flex option, definitely pick him up.
All right, Riley. Now, I love that you showed a Giants player some love. I always love when there's a blue in the ads.
There should never be any blue.
Stop
Ever.
it. Stop. You need to stop.
Continue. Please continue.
You're a guest now. But the only problem is that as much as I want to agree with you, I don't think the offensive line from the Giants is going to protect him enough to give him sufficient points for fantasy. I like that you put a giant, but the offensive line is gonna keep him in the single digits.
They couldn't protect Saquon from injury. How Devontae Booker is going to, I'm scared for his health right now over the next couple of weeks with that Giants offensive line. And he did have 2 touchdowns last week. That's all he's going to be able to get for the entire season because he is going to get clobbered with that offensive line over the next couple of weeks while he's filling in for Saquon. I wouldn't pick him up. I'd stay clear away from any Giant that you can possibly have. And then I'll continue on. One thing I did like was Darrell Williams. He did get more time with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going out last week. He finished with what I'm really interested to see. He only finished with 3 receptions for 18 yards, but that was with limited play. I think that Darrell Williams, who I did pick up in a league, he is going to be a reception nightmare for defenses. And if you're playing against him in fantasy, he's going to put up a lot of points on you simply just because of PPR leagues, which all leagues should be PPR at this point. If you're not a PPR league, talk to your commissioner, get a new league because that's a must for fantasy football this year.
All right, and Riley, I want to agree with you. I do want to agree with you, but I can't agree with you on Zach Pascal. He has shown me nothing in fantasy. I've looked at his free agent stats and in the fantasy league, and I'm looking, and they're all in the single digits. I still don't think he's going to go past 11 points throughout the season. So I'm sorry, my guy. You're 0 for 2 for me.
Before last week, I would have agreed with you there. But with Naheem Hines going down and only getting 4 carries, that was Pascal's most efficient week of the season. I want to say he finished with 3 receptions for 50, 60 yards, somewhere in that range. But that is with as many buys as we have this week at wideout, with as many top value wideouts on a bye week or even being injured, he is a very good flex option. I would, if you are in a PPR league, like Tyler said, if your commissioner doesn't have it as a PPR league, talk to him and get it changed right now. But he is a good value, and it is very under the radar. Like if you do look at players available, he's not up there with the 11, 12 average points, but definitely a value.
All right, so one last thing before we throw into Week 6 matchups for our fantasy football league. Taylor Heineke, which how you pronounce that, Heineke.
Ooh.
He was on your list. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Here's my message to all of you. Heineke is going to be around 20-point per game fantasy quarterback. And that's 20 points. You might not realize how low that is. There are 20 quarterbacks this season, and some that are right on the border at 19, but I didn't throw them in. 20 quarterbacks that average at least 20 fantasy points per season this year. So just keep that in mind. I would not use a waiver on Taylor Heineke. Now we're going to transition into our Week 6 matchups. We have Johnny, who is at 3-2, going against Hannah Joe at 2-3. Alex Funderburk, 2-3, going against Kayla. You see here the battles of the 2 and 3s. Riley, you'll be facing Johan. We got a little HTF Bets action going on, a little matchup. I'll be going against Ross Bernstein, both of us listed at 3-2. And Austin Walker will be going against Kyle DeWitt. Kyle, the only 4-1 team left in fantasy football. We'll keep you updated this week. Like I said, this is going to get really interesting really fast. That's all the time that we have for fantasy football, but stay with us. Next segment, we're talking UCF football as they're heading to Cincinnati this weekend.
He's coming back! No way!
Welcome to the HTF Hot Wings Challenge. One of you guys actually do hot sauce like regularly?
No.
No.
It's like the least black thing I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
I say Johnny goes first on this one.
I agree.
The Buccaneers are going to play the Washington football team.
That can't happen.
It will happen.
I'm terrified.
No, I really hate it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. You're wrong. If it wasn't for Kanye jumping up on stage and doing the I'm gonna let you finish, but no one would know what it was with.
Nitros, dump truck. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Why is Nitro thick?
I don't know how many squats I need to do to get up like something like that, but I will do it.
Oh! Oh my God!
Baseball, obvious reasons. Babe Ruth. If you want to go currently. I feel like that's just like a thing.
He jumped off the wall to catch the home run. We made it through all the way to the end. Thank you for joining us.
Never doing this again.
Welcome back, everyone. UCF hits the road this weekend for their toughest matchup of the regular season, hands down, traveling to Cincinnati, take on who is the number 3 team in the country. Now, as it should be, the spread is set at 21 points in Cincinnati's favor with the over-under of 57.5. Riley, what are you thinking for this UCF game this weekend?
I think the spread is fair. Honestly, as much as it hurts me to say, UCF is traveling to Bearcat country, and they are going to get blown out of the water, especially without Kalia Davis, who's arguably our best interior defensive lineman. It's not going to be close. Sorry, UCF. It's going to be 52-14.
Johan?
As much as I hate going against UCF, I have to agree with the spread. Jerome Ford will run over the UCF defensive line, and Cincinnati secondary will make it difficult for Mikey Keene to pass over 200 yards. So I'm not going to do a score, but it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, you can hear the disappointment in all of our voices. I will actually be in Cincinnati for this game. I will be in UCF gear for 3 days straight, and I will be getting heckled the entire time.
He's going to be miserable.
So I guess I'm looking forward to that. I bought these tickets when we were 2-0 and just blew out Bethune-Cookman and beat Boise State, and we still had one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Now, team's looking a little different. We're missing 12 starters between offense and defense. So we're still, I'm thinking take the Cincinnati spread. If the over hits at 57.5, Cincinnati is going to have to score at least 42 to 49 because UCF isn't going to put up any points. It's just not going to happen. We're going to transition now into our surefire bets of the week. My favorite part of the show and Riley's least favorite part of the show. I am 5-1 overall this season. My one loss came when I picked against the Pats, against the Bucks. Again, I'm sorry to the Patriots. I will never bet against you again. But we are back. Riley sits at 3-3, and Johan sits at 1-1. 1-1. 1-1. I guess I'm counting that your first pick as the guest host. So, boys, who do we got for your surefire bet of the week? Need to hit it 100%.
So I'm going to pick up a win this week, and so are the Detroit Lions. I'm taking them money line against the Bengals. They have had 3 one-score games this season, and so have the Bengals. The Bengals have 4 out of their 5 games have been within 3 points. The Lions are finally going to have the ball go their way. Lions money line.
No.
This is the garbage bowl, the garbage bowl game of the weekend.
No.
And the Jags and Dolphins play this weekend.
No.
It's just not.
Shame.
Shame. The Bengals easily come out with this one. I'm sorry you're a Detroit fan. You feel loyal. Stop. Just stop it. This is surefire pick of the week time. You cannot be loyal. Johan, surefire bet of the week.
Bellator MMA, Bellator 268 this Saturday. Brian Bader versus Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson will win. He is the dark horse to win the Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix.
Now, I'm not going to fight much with Johan on that one because that is not my expertise, and that is his expertise. Even though last week I think I knocked you out pretty well in our boxing segment.
No.
We're going to transition. Now, you're 1-1, so you need this to get over 500.
I'm undefeated. Gosh.
You need this to get over 500.
I am undefeated.
Again, we'll play the role. We already got you with one playback this week. We'll hit you with another one. My surefire bet of the week, again, 5-1 on the season. I have Purdue at Iowa. I feel weird doing this, but I'm going to bet the under. It is set at under 44. These are 2 of the best defenses in the Big Ten. Iowa averaging 15.6 points again, and Purdue averaging 16.2 points against them. Purdue, they just scored 23 versus Penn State, which is a pretty solid defense as well. So I think that's kind of we can expect a little bit less going against Iowa. Take that under. This will be the only under of the season. It's just with bye weeks in NFL. It's been a weird week for me, and I couldn't pick that one spread that I really liked. But that's locked. All these are locked. We'll keep you updated next week. that's going to be all the time that we have for this show of HTF Bets. Thank you all for coming out and watching. We have so much fun doing this, and we love to entertain you guys for a half an hour. We will see you all next Thursday at 12 o'clock. Peace.